Happy to be joined by Sam Cosentino. Sam, you and I spent a lot of time covering the CHL in different capacities. You are about as well versed in it as it gets. So we want to talk about your latest draft rankings, which are up now on sportsnet.ca. You mentioned off the top in that column, for there to even be a draft, there needs to be a formal end to this NHL season. That hasn't happened just yet. The league hasn't announced its plans amidst everything going on. But with the junior hockey season all but over, what means do the draft eligible players have to kind of sell themselves a little bit more, if there is one at all?
Yeah, well, they're going to have opportunities to speak with teams. I was on a conference call earlier with NHL Central Scouting. The head, Dan Marr, there said that, if there is no NHL Combine, and that still hasn't been completely determined yet, that teams are still going to have the opportunity to meet with players, be it through FaceTime, through Zoom, through whatever means of technology that they want to use. Obviously, you have to respect the social distancing, so that person-to-person meeting won't happen. But teams will still be able to dig in and do some background in a one-on-one setting, just have to do it through a screen.
Speaking of one, there's still little doubt who will go number one in this draft. It's got to be Alex Lafreniere still for you, right?
Yeah, no question about it. I think he cemented himself at the World Juniors. The second half of the season was no different. I think he was poised to put Rimouski on his shoulders and try and take them to a President Cup trophy in the QMJHL season, but he won't get the opportunity to see that. And, what kind of sucks about all that is here's a guy fans in Rimouski obviously love and adore. Didn't really get a chance to say a proper goodbye because I don't think he's coming back next year.
Definitely not. At the beginning of the season, though, Sam, there was a slight debate about whether Quinton Byfield could chase him for that number one spot. I think that debate, again, like you said, put to rest. But now it seems like there's a race for that number two spot between Byfield and Tim Stutz. So how close is that in your eyes?
Yeah, I think it's really close. I mean, Stutz played in the men's league. There's a little bit of recent history there with Moritz Seider having played in Adler Mannheim last year, going 6 to Detroit. And still Stutz got some power play opportunity, played about 16 minutes a game for a really good team in Mannheim, and plays with speed, skates really well, performed at the World Juniors. I think this is a guy that, not that he had far to go, but it would have been really nice to see him perform at the World Under-18s. Yeah. Obviously, we're not going to get the opportunity to see him do that.
I can't stop thinking about how a team outside the top three is in all likelihood going to get Marco Rossi. Like, that's a pretty good consolation for not finishing in the top 3 or even 4. What makes him so good?
Well, he's got an elite level brain. So he thinks the game at a level that most players at this level don't. And then you add to that the skill set that allows him to use brain effectively, whether it's creating space for himself to score, whether it's escaping, with the puck on the forecheck, creating opportunities for his teammates. He does so many things well, and yet he doesn't give up anything in the other 2 zones of the ice, in the neutral zone, in the D zone. Also a guy who wins a lot of faceoffs. So there's so much to like about his game. He's a bit lower in a lot of different, prognosticators that I'm reading about. He's been in my 5 hole all year long, like in the 5 spot there in my ranking. So I think that's where he ends up going. I really do.
Yeah, again, 5 in the April rankings as well, which you could read on sportsnet.ca. With regards to D-men, Jamie Driedsdale still your top-ranked blue liner. I spoke to him ahead of the Canada-Russia series. He said the thing he wanted to work on for the rest of the season is kind of his play in front of the net and his defensive awareness. How do you rank his game overall? Because you mentioned the battle for the top defenseman drafted. That gap is a little bit smaller as well now.
Yeah, no question about it. I do still think that Driedsdale will be the first guy off the board, and it's that elite skating ability, but it's also the ability to play with calmness, to play with some poise. And so when he talks about some of the things in the defensive zone, that's more in a situation where the offensive team has that puck possession, houses net front presence, his ability to ward off and clear space for his goaltender, not allow second opportunities or guys to get their sticks out and tip. So you can do that smartly, even though he's a smaller, slighter player. And, of course, obviously, you hope that he will grow. So it's that part of the game that he feels he needs to work on. One thing I talked to the Erie staff about earlier in the year was the fact that they wanted to see him be that elite guy every night. And I think coming back from the World Juniors, he looked at some of the players around him and said, oh, this is how you beat that elite guy each and every night. And I think he found a stride there in the second half of the season with the Otters.
We see him, you say the word stride when he's in that neutral zone with the puck. There isn't a better junior defenseman to be skating with it right now. Who's the guy, Sam, from the beginning of the season to your rankings now that's taken the biggest jump in your eyes?
Well, Jake Sanderson, I think that was corroborated by what National Hockey League Central Scouting released today. The guy who plays in the U.S. Under-18 program, the son of Jeff Sanderson. He's a defenseman. You know, I saw him, watched a lot of video on this player, had heard a lot about him, and then, of course, saw him at the BioSteel All-American game in Plymouth earlier this year, and he was absolutely brilliant, by far the best player there, and his game has just steadily risen ever since. And I think scouts get really excited about a player who kind of starts here and just continues to rise without any plateauing throughout the course. And I think Sanderson fits that bill.
I imagine it was difficult to put this ranking together given how the last few weeks we haven't seen any hockey. So, Sam, we appreciate that. Is there a power ranking in the Cosentino household right now, and where do you rank amongst them?
Teacher, I rank about 6th. Our household is only 4.
4 of you, right?
Struggling, man. I'm struggling. So the more Zoom meetings, the more things that we can get on to get me out of teaching. Keep it coming.
All right, we'll see if we could do more of this. Sam Cosentino, his latest draft rankings up on sportsnet.ca. Sam, continue to stay safe, you and the family. Thanks for this.
Yeah, you too, Faisal. Thanks. Take care.